And so we see a lot of ligament injuries, especially ankle related. I mean, you can just walk on the road, as Jason said, and get an ankle injury with a ligament. That's not the commonest ankle injury we see. Then the knees, we see a lot of ligamental injuries. So they present with again pain, and sometimes if you have a strong ligament broken with instability of that joint, which will lead to further injury of things like cartilage in the joint.
Right. That's okay. Let me. People at the gym. Can this same like the list that we were just going through just now? Can this happen to them? People who go to the gym, like start working out, like for example the biceps and whatnot. It's somewhat of a sport in a way. Some people treat it like a sport. They go there every day.
Yes.
And they pump up iron. I'm not pumping up iron, but I'm just saying. No, I'm not.
I mean, if you go and do a heavier weight, I mean, than you're accustomed to, what happens is the strain, additional strain comes and you start tearing ligaments and these things. And it's quite common, you see it. And one of the reasons is using a heavy weight. Number two is incorrect techniques.
Right. Like not stretching. I've heard that's one.
Yeah, not warming up the muscles properly. Actually, more than stretching, we speak about warming up the muscles. So if you're going to do a bench press, I mean, you have to do a bit of walking 5-10 minutes, and then without the weight, do the bench press a bit or some dips, and then do the bench press. Whereas people just go and push the biggest weight straight away.
That's so true. That's so true. And I've noticed that people actually, like Dr. Vijay Singh was saying, that they do not warm up before they work out, and that brings out a lot of pain, a lot of stretching, and then they give up. So it's like a whole up there and down here. So yeah, too bad for that. And the other thing, Jason, in the list,
the final one.
Yeah.
The Plica syndrome. Or the Plica syndrome.
Plica. How do you say that?
Plica.
Okay.
Right. That's right.
So that is inside the joint you have these synovial folds which secrete a small fluid. And you can get these getting caught up in between the bones.
Right.
It's not as common as the other injuries we spoke about, whereas we see more of the things like patellofemoral, tendinosis and all, more than these.
Right. So far, the common injuries that I'm hearing of is a lot in your kneecap area, and also like pretty much everything almost down below. That's like the most common.
Yeah, and the joints, right?
And the joints.
Yes.
Most sports injuries are joint related because the joints are what move us, and that's where the most impact comes. But
do they get the most pressure when you're active in sports?
Yes.
Do the joints get the most pressure?
Yeah, it's because it's through the joints that we get the movement, and all the force is generated through the joints. So that's where the injury will commonly, nearly always occur.
Right. Are women at a higher risk of injuries than men?
Certain injuries. Now,
like
if you take female netball players, it's one of our commonest sports. You see a lot of ACL injuries. So there is a reason. One is the lesser muscle mass than men. And then of course they say with the hormones, estrogens and all that, ligaments are weaker. And of course the netball rules which prevent you have to pivot on a leg, which makes it more prone. So things like that. But for certain injuries, like especially we call anterior cruciate ligament injuries, is very common among netball players.
Wow. So it's netball and obviously any other sport also you could.
I was just curious to know that you were talking about running, netball, cricket. What else were we talking about? Rugby. And basically working out as well. How about swimming? I'm kind of interested in swimming.
Yeah,
so I was wondering, because it moves your entire body, it doesn't really give pressure to one particular place, but you hold rather breath. So what sort of injuries do people get while swimming?
Overuse injuries. Back. If you back again, as you spoke about cricket fast bowlers, these vertebral stress fractures are common among swimmers. Again, it's a number of laps and the number of swimming you do. So we've seen a lot of back injuries coming, whereas swimming is an excellent sport for actually back pains because it strengthens the muscles in the back. But if you overdo it, you're looking at stress fractures of the back, and of course shoulder injuries again if you do a lot of swimming.
And how does one prevent himself or herself from making that happen? Because when you're swimming, unlike the other sports that we were discussing about, we're basically in the water. So maybe that adds a little pressure. How do you really balance yourself there?
Change in environment.
Again, one thing is what we say is if you do one sport only, there's more chance of you getting injury.
Oh dear.
Because because say if you say swimming, if you do the freestyle only, you're working only certain muscles in your body, and whereas the other muscles, I've seen Sri Lankan swimmers, I've seen the legs are very small, whereas the upper body is big.
I have noticed.
Yes.
I have noticed that.
But what we do is we call it cross training. We always say have another sport along with swimming. So something like running, where you're running along, or weight training. And what that does is it strengthens the other muscles. So that prevents one thing is it prevents imbalance.
And that's called cross training.
It's called cross training, where you use another sport to complement the deficiencies. The other thing is, of course, the swimming number of hours. You have to restrict the number of hours you do, how much lengths you are going to do, and of course techniques. So that's up to the coaches to correct techniques.
So does the cross training apply to every sport, including athletics?
Yes. I mean, with one example I always quote, if you watch the Indian team fielding, I mean not now they are quite athletic, right? Or the Pakistan team fielding, you can see that they are not athletic, whereas if you see Australian, even big people like Hayden and all, the way they move, the reason is they do a lot of sports till about 15 years age.
Right. Yes.
They do Aussie rules and all these things, so they are CrossFit, whereas the Indian cricketer from day one he's just playing cricket. But now of course the Indian cricketers are different. They are much,
I hope Sri Lankan people are cross training. I really hope.
Actually, because there's a big rugby culture, most of these they have played rugby or football, and Sri Lankans are athletic due to that reason.
Okay.
So if you take people like John Rhodes, they are double internationals, hockey and cricket. So that's why they are so fit and.
That's actually good news. So if you want to keep a good balance, do a little bit of cross
What
training.
they say is up to 15 years to do more than one sport if possible.
Up to 15
Up to 50. After that select one sport, but then even while you're doing that sport you have to do your gym fitness schedules and all. It's not enough. Where one common mistake we see is if it's a cricketer, he just plays cricket. Right, but he should be going to the gym, he should be doing training along with his and doing some swimming if he's a fast bowler, so things like that.
So it always comes down to your technique then. You get that right, then I'm guessing you're almost injury-free proof.
Yeah, that's what they call. That's a good term you use. I mean, now earlier sports medicine, what they were doing was treating injuries after something happened. So that is called rehabilitation. But now what we do is prehabilitation.
Rehabilitation.
We try to prevent injuries from occurring.
Nice.
And the term for that is injury prevention. And I mean, it's a huge area. It starts with things like proper conditioning, which would include proper strength, proper power, them having the cardiovascular fitness, anaerobic fitness for sprints, they're having the proper skills, proper equipment, and agility. So it's a huge area that has to be covered properly, and so if you do that, you're injury proof.
Maybe like your dancing could obviously help. That
I was just going to ask a question about dance sport. Since dance has been introduced as sport, it's called dance sport now. Have you actually have you treated any patient with injuries after maybe a dance competition or something like that?
I've seen a few again. Ankle injuries, injuries in the muscles around the area. They are very common with dancers.
Because I know that the calf muscle is pretty prone to be stretched and twisted during dancing.
Could be the heels, I'm guessing.
Could be the heels. Even when you dance without heels, it happens because you twist the legs all the time. But yeah, and also like Jason mentioned before, is diet important to all of these for prevention as well as for rehabilitation? Is it important for those?
Yeah, actually nutrition is very important. One aspect is hydration, especially if you're doing a lot of endurance sport outdoor. There's a thing called pre-hydration during the event, and after the event you have to hydrate yourself. Then actually nutrition plays a huge role in properly building up muscle mass and strength. So if you don't have a proper meal plan, what you're going to do is when you exercise, you're going to lose muscle. And then when you lose muscle, you're going to get more injuries because the muscle gives the balance around the joint. So it's a proper, it's not supplements. I mean, there's a huge thing for people taking supplements and the various creatines, nitric. It's not that, but a proper nutritional plan to give you the correct calories and to prevent muscle wasting is very important, and that goes a huge way in preventing injuries.
That's interesting. Oh wow, what a way to end the show. Like I feel now I know exactly what I need to do.
Yeah, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot out of this.
Here's what I'm gonna recommend that you guys do. If you're planning on working out, go to your nearest doctor. Go to Dr.
Hyde.
And he'll give you the entire list of how to keep that workout going.
There's some good sports doctors in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
So.
That's great. That's great. Recommended by Dr. Harinder. Does he get your thumbs up sign as well?
Yes, he gets a thumbs up because I'm inspired now, midweek, to go start getting my workout routine and everything sorted out.
Yes, you got it. You got it, doctor.
What a way to pick up a Wednesday. All right, doctor, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been such a pleasure. Hopefully we'll have you again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, if you missed up on the doctor segment, you can check us on YouTube on www.youtube.com/GMSL, or just search for the keywords GMSL. We'll be right back after this commercial break.